And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll take a look at some clips from the news. We'll have a little bit of dialogue with those of you who are able to join us for the live portion. And if you happen to be listening somewhere else and you wanted to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk, and on Prepper University. That's at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on Coffee Talk 2 on Rumble and fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. And we have cats. Isn't that right, Granny Smith? Granny Smith, everybody, keeping me company today. Say hello to everyone as we get ready to jump off here, take a look at some things, open up some news articles, and have a little discussion. I'll go ahead and say hello to the people who have chosen to chime in on the live portion before we get going here. See, Jeff is with us, as well as Helter, JJ, Caps, Jimmy Slim, Dragon, Big Red. It says Karmelo got freed by a black judge. Interesting. I don't know who the judge was, but I do have that pulled up. Paul is here. Lucky. Hope everybody's doing all right. And hello to everyone else who's watching that or listening and cannot or chooses not to chime in. Now, before we get going into the news articles and the nature of the thumbnail, as well as the title, because I got a couple of things in the title there. And I see Bob has joined us. Glad you could make it today. For context, something I talked about yesterday, and I've mentioned it a few times in the past. And so I wanted to pull up an old article. This is an older article to give contrast to what I was talking about with triads. And this is an HNGN, that's Headlines and Global News article. And this article goes all the way back to, I believe, 2015. Okay, September 2015 is when this took place. All right. China triad arrests more than 50,000 alleged criminals behind bars. And the number is actually closer to 51,000 that they rounded up in a single day. Okay, really important. Reports indicate more than 50,000 criminals associated with triad activity have been arrested in Hong Kong and other neighboring places, according to International Business Times. And this is a quote from the Hong Kong police. The message we want to send out to the public is that police have zero tolerance for organized crime and any other illegal activity. And that's police official Ao Shin Chow, the chief superintendent of the Hong Kong Organized Crime Division. Operation was codenamed Thunderbolt 15. That sounds like something from a Jerry Anderson production. Thunderbolt 15 spanned across several months and worked in conjunction with authorities from Macau and Guangdong as well. So they planned for it for months. They orchestrated it in a day, I believe, and within a 4-hour window. They're able to round up, and again, this is 2015. As I've mentioned it a few times, and I know people will probably hear this and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? So I wanted to find the article so I could show you. I see Sven is here from Arkansas, as well as Olita. And Tuck is here. JJ says that's a hell of a facility to detain over 50,000, even if only temporary. Well, maybe not all detained in the same location, but rounded up for interrogation, if nothing else. Rounded up. The fact that they could organize that much law enforcement to go and round up 50,000 people in a day in one general area is mind-boggling. And the reason I usually mention this is because if they can do it, don't think your government can't. Don't think they couldn't do this in the UK, the United States, Canada, Australia, wherever. That they couldn't pool resources, plan, like they said, they planned for a few months and then orchestrated all the raids at once. almost 51,000 people in a day. In a few hours. Rounded them up. That's scary. And Raccoon has joined us. But for context, since I've mentioned, I know I talked about it yesterday and I've mentioned it before, I wanted to bring this up. Operation Thunderbolt 15. It says, amid the raids, police were able to crack down on illegal arms dealing, illegal gambling rings, prostitution, drugs, and millions in illegal money. They also mentioned like counterfeit cigarettes and stuff like that. All sorts of things that the triad allegedly are involved in. And Puck is here. He says he'll be watching the White House press conference. And Flukeman has joined us as well. But like I said, wanted to bring this up, and you can look this up for yourself. Operation Thunderbolt 15, where in China, they were able to round up nearly 51,000 people in a day after months of planning. Again, if they can do it, so can your country. Big Red said 70% of Coachella attendees paid for tickets with payment plans to get lectured by millionaire Bernie. Meanwhile, Trump had entire Miami arena on its feet chanting USA at UFC fight. Yeah, he showed up there and whined. The only he's after every millionaire in the country except himself. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. Bernie Sanders he's one of those politicians that you just wish would evaporate. Please just go away. Please retire. Please never speak publicly again. Stop lecturing people. You are part of the problem. You are part of the problem. Now, here comes your thumbnail. Here comes your thumbnail. And this ABC News article, Katy Perry among the all-female Blue Origin crew that completes the space trip. And, you know, Katy Perry, Katy Perry made a big deal about, like, getting down and kissing the ground after the landing and all the rest in a ship shaped like a giant phallus, making history allegedly. And here's the crew, as it were. Let me click this thing open here. Tired of hearing about these people. Tired of hearing about this in 6. I thought there's 7. Is it 6 or 7? Somebody missing in that photo? It says Blue Origin completed their trip into space Monday morning. The flight lasted around 11 minutes and traveled more than 60 miles above the Earth, passing the Karmelo line, which at the 62-mile above sea level is considered to be the boundary between Earth's atmosphere and outer space. Okay. Along with Perry, the crew included Blue Origin owner Jeff Bezos, journalist and fiance Lauren Sanchez, who was also a helicopter pilot, journalist Gail King, former NASA rocket scientist Aisha Bowie, bioastronautics research scientist and civil rights activist Amanda Nguyen, and filmmaker Carrie Ann Flynn rounded out the crew, according to Blue Origin. Now, first all-female crew, okay? Get ready for it, because I'm going to really, really lay into this. I hope you're sitting down. Puck says, did you see the conspiracy theory about their uniform patch? No, I did not. Big Red said, Bernie owns 3 houses, took his honeymoon in Soviet USSR. He's a typical Bolshevik agitator. I can agree with that. Jericho says, what was the point of the trip? What was the mission? Yeah. And Paul's having trouble with his internet. Sorry to hear that. JJ says that, does that mean I can proclaim myself as part of the flight crew next time I board an airliner, even if I'm just parking my ass in a seat? Problem number one, there is no crew. This is a pre-programmed flight plan. No one has to touch or do anything in that capsule. Okay? What it essentially is the world's most expensive carnival ride. They get in, launch control handles the whole thing. It's a room, and you go suborbital. It's not a space crew because they didn't go in space. It says it right in the article. They only went to the 60-mile limit. That's close, but no cigar. They weren't in space. They were in the upper atmosphere. And you hang out for a few minutes and look out the windows and enjoy the view, and then you come back. No one touches anything. No one does anything. Or does anything, excuse me. No one does anything. There's no programming. There's no controls. This is not a capsule from 1965 with 5,000 knobs in it that you have to be trained for months how to use properly. They did not go in space. They were not a crew. And it was not all female because Jeff was in there with them. Unless Jeff identifies as a woman now. Jeff Bezos went along for the ride, correct? Isn't that what it just said? So it's not an all-female crew because there was a dude. It's not a crew. They're passengers. They didn't go into space. And the whole thing only lasted 11 minutes. Oh my God. Which is what Big Red says here. I'll put a couple of comments up on the screen so that you can take a look. Because I don't know, after the podcast has been shown, I know more people watch it after the fact. You don't always see the comments. I try to make sure everybody can see them. Yeah, there's Tuck. He says, I care little about space travel in general, and not all about this is historic. Yeah, there's nothing historic here. And as I've pointed out before, just because something makes history doesn't mean it's historic. And I've used the analogy of myself cutting down trees. I've cut down trees before. I've never cut down 3 in a day. If I cut down 3 in a day, it's history. Who cares? It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change anything. It's not historic. No record of it need be kept. This is not historic. All this was, and if they had just called it what it is, I wouldn't have anything to say. We're doing a test run. We're trying to see if we can do a tourist kind of thing. Hey, we can put anybody in space now. You can say you were in orbit. They weren't really, because they didn't pass the atmosphere. They got close, but they didn't pass it. So they were not in space. It was not a space mission. They were not a space crew. They weren't even a crew. Ground control operates the rocket, the orbit, and the descent. No one in there has to do a damn thing. And it was not all female. Jeff went with them. Isn't that what the article said? Isn't that what it said? Yeah. Along with Perry, the crew included Blue Origin owner Jeff Bezos. It's not an all-female crew if you got a dude. Oh my God. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but you get the point. But they gotta pound the hell out of this in the news media. Oh, they made history, all female crew. All female crew. Right. Right. Meanwhile, real women, scientists who trained as astronauts, worked with NASA, worked with X, sitting there with their jaws on the floor, wondering what the hell this is. Wondering what this is. That's what Tuck says. Passengers, not crew. Sean says they aren't. They're on a joyride. Yeah, they're on a joyride. It's the world's most expensive carnival ride. And the more they perfect it, the closer we get to the average person being able to do this. This is just a test run. Just call it what it is. Hey, we're going to do a few more test runs. We're putting some celebrities in there for publicity. Okay, I can get with that. I can get with that. Puck says if you turn the patch and rotate it 188 degrees, it resembles a depiction of Satan. Interesting. I had not heard that. This is like that movie with Don Knotts. Remember there's a film with Don Knotts where it was a totally automated rocket and he won a contest or something and they put him in space? Does that sound familiar? I can't remember the name of the movie. Somebody knows. Someone will look it up and put it in the comment section. It was a Don Knotts film. He was in a space capsule. It was supposed to run itself, but he did something stupid on the capsule that caused the tapes to malfunction. JJ says just because no one was required to touch anything while in flight doesn't mean they didn't touch themselves during the journey. Shame on you, JJ. And Monkey is here. Glad you could make it. Incredible. As I try to cascade through some of these comments. But just call it what it is. I'm tired of all the fake history. I'm tired of the mainstream media, politicians, activists, and celebrities telling me every damn thing that they do is historic. I'm tired of it. It's really starting to wear me out. I know there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing I could do about it. Caps wants to know what's the point of the mission. To make history by having an all-female crew, which we've just established it was not. And Cyberjack Sr. has joined us. He says, thumbs up. Please do. Thumbs up, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind. I need all the help I can get on these channels. Raccoon says, the reluctant astronaut. Thank you. The Don Knotts film. It was like the 60s, right? The reluctant astronaut. I'm getting to that, Puck. I'm getting to Karmelo. We're going to be talking about that. This just irritates the hell out of me. And then they make such a big deal out of it. She gets out and kisses the ground. Like she was rescued from a deserted island. That really kind of looks like a vibrator. Looking at the image of the rocket taking off. It's so pathetic. The whole thing is so pathetic. Stop telling me every damn thing is history. Stop pretending. Stop pretending. There's so many things wrong with this story. And like I said, if they just wanted to sit there and say, hey, publicity stunt. We're getting closer and closer to making this mainstream. Maybe we could start doing tours one day. You take the flight, you do a quick orbit, you come back down, pay your money, whatever. I get it. But again, it's like it's like the world's most expensive carnival ride. Like I said, incredible. Incredible. You guys and your comments, I'll keep throwing them on there, making fun of the whole situation. It's not history. It's not historic. It's not even an all-female crew like they've been claiming. It's not even a crew. It was not even 12 minutes, 11 minutes, roughly 11 minutes for the whole thing, apparently. Did not leave the atmosphere, so they didn't go in space. Incredible. Incredible. But speaking of incredible, okay, we may as well get on to Carmelo. Put that up from John. Dallas Morning News. And this is what Puck has been going on about in the comments section here. It says Texas stabbing suspect Karmelo Anthony released after bond was lowered to $250,000. It was originally $1 million bond. They cut that bond by 75% so that he could be released. Here you go. Karmelo Anthony, 17-year-old, accused of fatally stabbing another student at a high school track meet in Frisco earlier this month, was released from jail Monday after his bond was significantly lowered. Anthony was released from the Collin County Jail at 4:20 p.m. and put on house arrest with an ankle monitor. After an hour-long hearing at the county courthouse in McKinney on Monday morning, State District Judge Angela Tucker lowered Anthony's bond from $1 million to $250,000, which obviously the family can afford. Anthony had been in custody on a murder charge since April 2nd, when he was arrested and accused of killing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at the District 11 5A track meet at Frisco's David Kuykendall Stadium. Anthony had told police he was acting in self-defense. While under house arrest, Tucker said Anthony will only be permitted to leave home with her permission, namely trips to his attorney's office and meetings in court, and will need to be with an adult at all times. He is also not to contact the Metcalf family, including social media. Factors considered in court Monday included Anthony's age, lack of criminal history, and ties to the community. What ties? Including several family members, close friends, a football coach, and a manager from one of his part-time jobs who showed up at the hearing. On the Metcalf family side of the courtroom, which was also full, Megan Metcalf, Austin's mother, bowed her head and cried as the decision came down. I bet she did. Greg Willis, the Collin County District Attorney, told reporters after the hearing that his office is focused on the next steps, reviewing Frisco Police's investigation and presenting the case to a grand jury, which will determine whether Anthony will be indicted and face trial. Quote, "What we're concerned about as prosecutors is justice, truth, and accountability. And so we will go where the facts lead us," according to District Attorney Willis. You want to know what I've never seen in court in both my personal and professional experience? Justice, truth, and accountability. Willis said he considers the case to be a terrible tragedy, not only for Frisco, but the Collin County community as a whole. It is the most unnatural thing for a parent to lose their child. It's permanent, it's profound, it's certainly premature. The Anthony family has had a different kind of loss, but a loss nonetheless. Oh my God. And Has Drubel has joined us. Glad you make it. Jericho says he's never rolled his eyes so hard at a quote. Yeah, indeed. But that kills me. Again, my personal and professional experience dealing with court. All right. With my cases with family court and dealing with court when I worked for the Juvenile Justice Authority. the three things that I didn't see in that court are the three things that he said are the most important: justice, truth, and accountability. Right there, it's in his quote. Sounds really good on paper. Sounds really good in a speech. But is it there? I wonder if the victim's family feels like justice is being served right now. Mike Howard, Anthony's defense attorney, said he feels the judge's decision was fair. Howard had asked during the hearing for Anthony's bond to be lowered to $150,000. Quote, "It's not supposed to be an instrument of oppression. It's not supposed to keep people in jail. It's not supposed to punish. It's supposed to ensure that a person shows up in court, complies with all conditions, and it's supposed to keep the community safe." Howard declined to delve into the specifics of the case, but said, quote, "There are two sides to every story. Every Texan has the right to defend themselves when they reasonably fear for their lives." Nice. Puck says parents spending donations on a new house and security. Give me a chance, Puck. I've got that pulled up. Actually. That's in the roster. Incredible. Every Texan has the right to defend themselves when they reasonably fear for their lives. I can pretend to fear for my life. Can I go kill somebody? I was scared. I didn't know what else to do. Yeah, there you go. Dragon says, "I do declare Foghorn Leghorn." Oh, a Foghorn Leghorn is a bit more exaggerated. I say, Lulabelle, your eggs is coming out all kind of funny shapes. Monkey says, and from other sources, the family bought a nicer home. Yeah, we're getting there. Puck says two sides, perp and victim. Exactly. That is true. While we're at it, we may as well take a look and see how that fundraiser is doing. Would you like to see how the fundraiser is doing? This is the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to put, oh no, excuse me. It was Clarabelle. Clarabelle. Wasn't Clarabelle the one that always had laid funny shaped eggs? She was ooh, I think I've got one coming. Oh, Claire, but you got to do something. I say you got to do something about these funny shaped eggs you keep laying, or we're going to have to find someone else. GoFundMe canceled their fundraiser. They were up to about 147,000, I think, on GoFundMe, but GoFundMe canceled it, clawed the money back, gave everybody back their donations. Okay. Give, Send, Go is letting it ride. Let's see where it's at. The Help Karmelo Official Fund. As of right now, because this is active, $433,863. The goal is $500,000. Remember, it started at 80. Every time they hit the goal, they raise it. So it's currently 433,863 with literally nothing here. Nothing here. Because they wrote three sentences, excuse me. The official fund has literally 3 sentences. This is the official support fund for Karmelo and his family during this challenging and difficult time. The narrative being spread is false, unjust, and harmful. As a family of faith, we are deeply grateful for all your support during this trying period. Your prayers and assistance mean more to us now, more than ever. which is bad syntax because they use the word more twice in the same sentence. Whoever wrote that never had to write a paper for college. Big Shooter says that excuse would not work for us. No kidding. Lucky says what we have here is a classic case of miscommunication. Now, what we have here is a failure to communicate. Who knows where that's from? JJ is probably right with this quote here. This will probably devolve into a case about oppression and how the murderer or the murder is the true victim. Yeah, the murderer is the true victim. The slain kid's family will never know justice. Ask me how I know. Luke Man says, was the judge made the original 1 million bond some person who reduced it, the same one who reduced it to 250,000? I don't know if it's the same judge. That I'm unclear on. Yeah, and a couple of you got it. Puck and Lucky said Cool Hand Luke. Correct. The warden from Cool Hand Luke. Rule number 1, there ain't be no ass grabbing in this here facility. Ass grabbing. I love it. You know, George Kennedy won an Oscar for that movie. Won a, and there's Dragon, Captain played by Strother Martin and Cool Hand Luke. Yeah, he won that was an Oscar best supporting character, character, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Give, Send, Go. I mean, they're closing in on $500,000 here. What will they do with that money? What will they do with that money? They already had money, or else the bail wouldn't have been that high to begin in the first place. Usually when a bond is set that high, it's A, they really don't want that person out in the street because they think they're a flight risk or they think they're dangerous. And B, they think the family could afford anything up to that amount. So it's probably why. I don't know how much money that family is worth. I'm waiting to see. I haven't heard much about it. But, you know, people are giving you free money. You may as well make good use of it. Cap says this seems to be a mental health case. It's going to turn into one. I'll tell you what. If I can get that to clear. Here we go. We'll go ahead and pull this up here. Oh, man. Damn near $500,000 in funding pouring in to help the family with legal issues. But while they're at it, hey, you know, plenty of change to go around here. Waiting for Restream to, or not Restream. I'm not on Restream anymore. StreamYard dragging their ass here. Is it coming up? And by the way, can you see and hear me clearly? Luke Man says 700,000 on GoFundMe. Would they have kept the money if they had closed the account and taken the money before GoFundMe rejected? No, 147. 100 GoFundMe. But if they had taken it out, GoFundMe would have clawed it back. Tuck says I'm 5x5. Okay. I had to go all the way. Look at this. Times of India for this article. Family of Texas murder accused Karmelo Anthony moving to a new house with fundraiser money. Oh, excellent. I was worried. The family of 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, who allegedly stabbed Austin Metcalf. It's not alleged. He did it. That's a quote. I'm not alleged. I did it. That's on record. That's on the police body camera. Stabbed Austin Metcalf to death in an act of self-defense. I don't know about that. In an act of self-defense. I don't know about that, Times of India. At a event are planning to move out to a new home with the money that has been raised for Carmelo's legal fight. Karmelo walked out of jail after a judge on Monday lowered his bond from $1 million to $250,000. Anthony was charged with first-degree murder after he stabbed a knife in the heart of Austin Metcalf. That's a bad translation. Again, this is the English version of Times of India, who died in the arms of his twin brother in a most shocking Murder. Okay, so did all right. Did AI write this? First, you say stabbed Austin Metcalf to death in an act of self-defense. Then down here, it says Austin Metcalf, who died in the arms of his twin brother in a most shocking murder. Is it murder or self-defense? Times of India. AI wrote this article. I'll tell you what, I see too much of that nowadays. Anthony and Metcalf did not know each other. That's true. They first met at the track event, and an altercation started after Austin Metcalf, accompanied by his brother, told Karmelo to move as he was in the wrong spot. Karmelo said Metcalf pushed him and he took out a knife in self-defense, while debate around the murder took a racial angle as Anthony is black. Okay. Over 420,000 has been donated to the Anthony family in an online fundraiser. This money was this money. They're taking a portion of this money and spending it on a new house. Spending it on a new house. Monkey noticed that they haven't done the Summer of Love style like what happened with George Floyd. Give him a chance. Yeah, that'll happen if he's found guilty. If he's found guilty and he's sentenced for murder, they'll start painting murals of this kid. Puck says the people donating to the cause are the same ones that can't afford a photo ID to vote. Oh, yeah? And JJ says, I wonder why you have to go to an overseas publication in order to find this information. Says something about our own fish wrappers here. Of course, fish wrappers, newspapers. It's hard to find an actual newspaper anymore, but point absolutely taken. Yeah, incredible. That I had, and sometimes that's how it is. I got to go to some weird overseas article with some shitty translation to find out what's going on in my own country. But apparently that's what's going on. They're in the market for a new house. Must be nice. It must be nice. Where's my big donations? Where's my give, send, go? If I set up a give, send, go, I'd be lucky to get $100. And to be fair, I have set up a GoFundMe in the past for the cats. I've done a couple in the last few years. I did one for the TNVR services, which people did help me with. And I did one when I had to get the surgery for old dad because he had that tumor. And, you know, in the last, 3 years, I've done it twice. Just asking for some assistance with that because it gets expensive. And people were pretty, to me, very generous with it. But golly, not like this. Not to the point where it's closing in on $500,000. Wow. Puck says his thug pictures are all over the interweb. Yeah, I showed a couple of these last week, you might recall, of him sticking up his middle finger and flashing gang signs and holding what appears to be an AK-47 and so on. JJ says, never mind the fact as to why the kid had a knife on him at a track meet, because that's the kind of person that he is. That's the kind of person that he is. That's everything you need to know right there. I've heard rumors that he was going around stealing at the track meet. Don't know if that's true. I haven't seen anything to confirm that, but I've heard that. But it's absolutely over the top. I doubt he felt that threatened. There is armed security at the track meet, like most junior and high schools now. They have their own police force, officers on duty. A school police officer was the first responder, the very first of the responders. If you felt that threatened, you could have got help. It's I don't believe his narrative at all. I don't believe the narrative at all. And here's something you won't believe either. We're going to jump to New Mexico. We're going to jump to New Mexico. Actually, this is perfectly believable because this is what we're reduced to. Fox News article, National Guard deployed to Blue City overrun with juvenile crime. Fentanyl is not enough, says state GOP says. It's not enough. After Democrat Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham announced she's sending the National Guard to Albuquerque to address a spike in juvenile crime and fentanyl, the state's GOP said the move isn't enough. Grisham signed an executive order on April 8th that authorized the deployment of 60 to 70 New Mexico National Guard personnel to Albuquerque by midday, citing the fentanyl epidemic and a rise in juvenile crime as critical issues requiring immediate intervention. 60 to 70 is not enough. The National Guard, however, won't be directly helping tackle the fentanyl crisis or juvenile crime. Instead, they'll be used for scene security and traffic control, prisoner transport assistance, and other roles that do not involve arrest. A press release from Grisham's office said the National Guard will free up Albuquerque Police Department resources. New Mexico Republican Party Executive Director Leticia Munez told Fox News Digital the National Guard deployment doesn't come close to addressing the issue at hand. She said more substantive measures such as bail reform and harsher penalties are needed. Bail reform, what's wrong with the bail system there? Quote, no, this is definitely not enough. What this is you can see a mismanagement, obviously, of the mayor. And you know, as much as we appreciate all the work the law enforcement is doing in Albuquerque, we know that their hands are tied. We know that there needs to be a bail reform and reform as far as the deterrent of keeping individuals in jail longer. She said it seems like Democrats are trying to coddle juveniles, citing a proposed pilot program in the state that would provide up to $2,000 in housing assistance for juvenile suspects after they're released from detention if they're well behaved. That alone just shows you the coddling mentality that Democrats have for any type of juveniles and crime here in the state. From 2019 to 2024, Albuquerque police have either arrested or cited 2,600 minors aged 11 to 17. So there we are. And that's Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham deploying National Guard. Deploying the National Guard in Albuquerque because of how overrun they are with juvenile crime and fentanyl. How'd they get that way? Puck says lefties are spreading a rumor Trump will declare martial law on 420. It originates from a lefty blogger. That sounds made up because you know what 420 day is. I think everybody knows that. Because that's supposed to 420 being the old police code for marijuana possession. And so it's become the unofficial marijuana day. It's pretty stupid. Declare martial law. Yeah, that'll happen. I don't believe that'll happen. Things that have to be really out of control for a martial law situation on a national level. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. But this is what we're reduced to. Although 60 or 70 National Guard deployed with their hands tied, because they're only helping with escorts and traffic control and nonsense like that. It's not a lot of help. It's not a lot of help, but this is what happens when you A, defund the police, and then B, fire half of them for refusing to take the jab. This is what happens. And then C, alter the laws. Alter the laws so that people who are arrested are released a lot easier. They don't keep them anymore. They don't detain them. They don't punish them. Speaking of which, potential government fraud here. New York Post article. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison accepted campaign donations from individuals linked to the $250 million COVID fraud scheme. That doesn't look good. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison raked in $10,000 in campaign donations shortly after meeting with individuals linked to the nonprofit that stole $250 million from a federal program meant to feed hungry children during the pandemic. And of course, that is what Governor Tim Walz tried to cover up, which is why I wonder how involved he was and how much of a taste of that $250 million he got. And I don't know why they're not looking at him more carefully because of his possible connections to this, because they're already sending these people to jail. They've been having hearings and sentencings for months. We read a couple of articles about that a few weeks ago. Quote, "I'm not here because I think it's going to help my re-election," Ellison said during the December 11th, 2021 meeting with two future criminal defendants linked to the Feeding Our Future scandal, according to audio obtained by the Center for the American Experiment. Days later, Ellison received $10,000 in campaign contributions from individuals linked to Minneapolis's nonprofit Feeding Our Future Records show. And this is Ellison here. That's Ellison in the picture, for those of you who can see the podcast. It says Justice Department has charged 70 people in the Feeding Our Future case, which has thus far yielded 44 convictions of guilty or guilty pleas. Several defendants have yet to stand trial, and for some reason, Tim Walz is not one of them. Federal prosecutors claim Feeding Our Future received millions in aid from the U.S. Department of Agriculture during the COVID-19 pandemic to help quickly shuttle food to needy children, which was unnecessary and which obviously they never did. However, children, as intended, according to prosecutors, the rest was blown on luxury cars, property, jewelry, and travel. And now, the Minnesota Attorney General, Keith Ellison, has been connected to this because they found out he took campaign contributions from these people. So that brings into question, are you connected to this? Why did you take that $10,000 from them? And does that mean that there might be services bought and paid for? It's a good question. So potential here for there having been fraud. If I were him, I would get out ahead of this and say, I had no idea that's where that money came from. Hey, 10,000, I'll give it back. I don't want their money if that's the case. Try to get ahead of it to see if he's smart enough. See if he's smart enough. Doesn't look like he is. Yeah, Monkey suggests National Guard are doing weekend warrior type stuff. Like in Rambo. Come on, Sheriff. I've got to get that back to the drugstore by 4 o'clock. Incredible. Puck says the blogger extrapolated from some recent comments from Trump that he's going to do it on 420. Google it. You'll see what I'm talking about. They believe it. I'm sure they do. Monkey says, I know it's been said, but funny, all these articles have been Democrats that are found with corruption that are found out. Yes. And I've mentioned that many, many times. You know, I'll pull up anytime I can find a lawmaker tied up in something, I'll pull the article to show that corruption, to expose that corruption, or showcase it anyways, right? I'll showcase it every time. And rarely ever is it a Republican lawmaker. They're always Democrats. 99 out of 100 of them, it's Democrat lawmakers. Because if it was a Republican, I'd still show it. I don't care. I just want to show, when I do this, corrupt lawmakers. And again, it's not like Republicans are above reproach. Are there corrupt Republican lawmakers? I'm sure. But either there's not as many of them, or they're not as corrupt, or they're not as stupid. And there's just something about the Democrat Party that attracts this. These people, they get the job and they jump right in. Taking bribes, making threats, making side deals, doing illegal things. Like almost immediately, some of these guys, they're not even a few months out of the gate and they're already in trouble with it that we read. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. This is also very incredible. Here comes your stupid news of the day. Stupid news of the day. I read this article and I'm like, you moron. You freaking moron. This is going to be an independent article. The Independent. Home Alone 2 director says that he fears deportation if he cuts the Trump cameo. And you remember that Trump, if you saw Home Alone 2, 1 and 2 are the only ones with Macaulay Culkin. I believe there was 4. And they just replaced him. Okay. And there's a 1-minute scene in the film, or less than, where he runs into Donald Trump in the hotel, right? Because back in the 80s, he was sort of a celebrity philanthropist, entrepreneur. You saw him everywhere. I've seen him, I don't know how many times, in vintage game shows as the answer to a question. He was bigger than people realize. Okay? It says director Chris Columbus has said he fears Donald Trump's administration would deport him if he cuts the president's cameo from his film Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Released in 1992, the comedy sequel tells the story. We know what the story is, okay? After landing in New York, Kevin makes his way to the 5-star Plaza Hotel. Culkin's character bumps into Trump, who owns the plaza at the time, and asks him for directions to the lobby. Okay? Speaking to the San Francisco Chronicle, Columbus, who probably hasn't worked since that film, said of Trump's cameo, "It's become this curse. It's become an albatross for me. I just wish it was gone." Although the filmmaker was born and raised in the United States, he has Italian ancestry and admitted he would be worried he would have to go back to Italy or something if he nixed that scene. I can't cut it. If I cut it, I'll probably be sent out of the country. I'll be considered sort of not fit to live in the United States, so I have to go back to Italy or something. Dude's probably never even been to Italy. Oh no. Yeah, you go ahead and try. First of all, he's just the director. He doesn't own the rights to this film. He can't add or cut anything. He cannot add or cut anything from the movie. Secondly, when you do that, when you alter a vintage film, especially one that's become a classic, this is a very nostalgic movie for people. If you alter a nostalgic film, people get pissed off. All right? Like when they did it to E.T. You remember when they altered E.T.? In the original film, the soldiers come out, they all have guns. When it was released years later, when CGI was first rolling out mainstream, they digitally altered the film and replaced the guns with radios. So everybody's running around holding a big radio, a walkie-talkie. And everybody was pissed. They had to re-release a second version. How many times has Spielberg gotten spit in his eye for altering the Mos Eisley Cantina scene between Han Solo and Greedo? You know it's been done 5 times. I believe it's 5, right? Who shot first? And you've got to get the original VHS version to clearly see that scene. They digitally edited in Greedo holding a gun the whole time. Then they made it so they shot the same time. Then they made it show the Greedo shot first. They kept changing it, and everybody got pissed off because that's not how they remembered it. Then there was Tom and Jerry. I'll give you another example. Yeah, Puck says he should be deported for first-degree virtue signaling. No kidding. He's an American citizen. He's an American citizen. Oh, they're going to deport me to Italy. Shut up. For a film that you can't even touch. You don't own the film. Tom and Jerry, the original movie theatrical shorts, which was turned into an after-school television program with editing when we were growing up, 70s and 80s, right? Re-released on disc. And the original homeowner, the black lady, Thomas, the old black lady that was the original owner of the house, who was always throwing Thomas out because he'd wrecked the place. They altered her voice. Everybody was pissed. It was such an uproar that who was it? Warner Brothers? I forget who owns the rights to that. Had to issue a replacement disc to anyone who wrote into them. They went online and said, I'm pissed off, I want the right disc. And they'd have to send them a replacement disc for that particular box set because they altered the voice of the character. This is the worst virtue signaling I've seen in a long time. What a mealy-mouthed piece of shit. Incredible. Oh, I change it, but I'm scared. And Trump's going to deport me, even though I'm an American citizen. I think I have some Italian ancestry. He might send me to Italy. And I ain't never been there. And I don't speak Italian. I don't know. And Marvel fans here, you're late. Puck says Spielberg is a dumbass, like you're going to hunt down space aliens with a radio. Yeah. But that's what they did. That's what they did. Yeah, Spielberg did that. George Lucas messed up Star Wars, and they had to change it back. Well, George Lucas kept altering the scene until he got to a point where he just couldn't get away with it anymore. But I mean, really. I mean, has it been that long since you've worked Chris Columbus? Has it been? When's the last time that guy had a job? Oh, who cares? Who cares? That's the most pathetic thing I've seen in a minute. That's right up there with the Democrat lawmaker we read about yesterday who was busted for using the company card for palm reading. Well, it said a psychic. It didn't say what kind of psychic. But hey, here comes your debt clock. USDebtClock.org. With Doge projection currently at $321 billion in savings. Projection is currently at 321 billion and counting. The counter is slowed down a bit. I wish that was going a little faster. Oh, Chris says no notice today. Catch the replay. That figures. Oh, by the way, both Prepper University and Coffee Talk have a new video today. New independent video went up on both channels. I don't know if anyone got a notice for that or not. But with that, we are at the top of the hour, so I'll go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk, and you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta. So with that, we'll go ahead and sign off. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation, and we will catch you again tomorrow.